right? So you're creating a possibility where there ostensibly seemed like there was none. So again, then it keeps coming back to an earlier lesson of it is about saying yes. It's about saying yes when you are hearing that part in yourself that is encouraging you to do this. And then you come up with a rationalization or the defense of why it's not a good idea, or you're not ready, you can't do it. She's my friend, what if she doesn't want me to do it? Who cares? Those are all, who cares? The worst that can happen is you're greeted with a no. And that's not that big of a deal. So why do we do that? Well, here's the answer. You surround yourself, we all do, with an environment, with the environment that you want. And you want it to protect the image of yourself that you have made. Let me say it again. You surround yourself with the environment you want, and you want it to protect the image of yourself that you have made. What does that mean? You know, I'm constantly talking about the seven-headed beast of the monster of the ego that comes in many different forms that if you're not vigilant, it really will keep your expressive life, your creative life, in a lockdown. And so when I'm saying that you surround yourself with the environment you want, and you do so because it's protecting the image you have made, well, what do you think that means? It means we become accustomed to that, again, habituated, conditioned way of thinking that's created an identity for us. And even though that identity, the expense of being in that identity is not living the life you want, not being fully creative, not being fully expressed, not being joyful, not taking risks, you would rather stay connected to that identity, the ego, I should say, wants you to remain connected to that identity that it spent 10 years, 30 years, 15 years, 20 years enforcing, rather than what? Stepping into the what? Unknown. The unknown. That is it. Because in the unknown, the ego has there is no framework from which the ego can stand. And so that means the world that it has created has been dissolved. Listen, that is a very scary place to be in. But the thing that I find so fascinating is that as human beings, we're constantly being called to step into that becoming. The question is how long do you want to stay tethered to the identity you've created? That requires a bit of awareness. It's nothing to beat yourself up with, because the thing about the ego is that it's there for a reason. It has served its purpose. In other words, at some part in your life, through your maturation process, some things that have been put into place because of this habituated process, this conditioning process, served a function. It protected you. It kept you safe. There was a function for it. But as we evolve and grow, and as artists, we're on the leading edge doing it. So it's almost like, oh my gosh, your growth is occurring exponentially, but the ego doesn't grow. It stays the same. So you've outgrown it, and you're wanting to step into something else, but the ego does not want to allow that thing to occur. It's still like back in the 70s. You get what I'm saying? That's another way of thinking about it. You're like in 2010, and it's still playing tapes for you from the 1970s. Hold that thought, Gina. Make sense? So the question you just have to, first of all, you just have to be gentle with yourself and identify, is my reaction to this thing, again, I'm using Nick as, that's just kind of a funny example, but it's not. It's just becoming identified with, that is not the truth. That is a lie that has been pitched into my world from my ego identity that wants to keep me in that world that creates terror and fear and chaos and confusion and misunderstanding and completely suppressing our spirit. Now, it's never about ego bashing. You have to be gentle with that dualistic part of yourself. Because again, the function of it serves a need. If we didn't have it, we wouldn't be surviving on this planet. But you have to start trying to find a way of balancing the dialogue so that it does not suppress the life that you're wanting to live. And the interesting, ironic thing is, you guys, is like, we think that in overcoming this stuff, we're we're going to meet this gigantic swath of liberation, and you will, but then once you've experienced that, then new stuff is going to be added for you to overcome. This is life. You're going to overcome an obstacle, something that's been holding you back. It can be anything from like you want to get an agent, or you want to get married, or you want to have a boyfriend, you want to have a girlfriend, you want to get a puppy, whatever it is that you want to do, and then for some reason you keep coming up with reasons why it can't happen. And then you achieve that thing, and now you're at a new level, and now this other stuff keeps coming up, which then just gently means you have to overcome that, and then you overcome that, and you overcome that. I think to me the interesting thing about teaching, and especially just teaching the tools of awareness so that we can just slowly try to sift our way through it, is the illusion is that other people don't have what I'm talking about, and that's the lie. Steven Spielberg has it. Network presidents have it. President Obama has it. I just sent out that President Obama quote this week, which was really inspiring to me. Just because people may not talk about it in the way that I teach it does not mean that every human being on the planet does not confront their stuff. Some do, some don't. Some are victorious, some aren't. That's just your own internal journey. So then the question is the real work has less to do with acting work, especially with this group. It has to do with your own relationship with yourself. Both sides of the self. The true self and the ego part. Get what I'm saying? And again, you guys, it's not rocket science. You all know this. I'm not teaching... I teach the same... I'm saying the same lesson over and over again, but using different distinctions to create the aha. But even if you've never heard me say it, you've experienced it. When you've had those moments in your life where in your acting, let's just use acting as the metaphor, when you've stepped into the unknown and gotten to a new level in your work. And in this class, like, holy crap, everybody is doing that. You have overcome the ego's hold on it not wanting you to step into the unknown, into that creative matrix from which really authentic, empowered, dynamic, freeing, sexual, dangerous, beautiful work is created. But you don't really think about it that way. Because again, the ego's function is, it's so deceptive. Then it becomes argumentative. And it becomes defensive. And it becomes full of excuses and rationalization. You see what I'm saying?